Welcome in, I'm Artress, and in this video, well, we're doing a little bit of a celebration for Halloween since today is Halloween after all. So we are revisiting an old leader from OP06 in Gecko Moria, a 5-life black leader that says Dawn times 1 when attacking, pay 2 Dawn, discard 1 card from your hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the trash and play 1 Thriller Bark Pirates character with a cost of 4 or less from the trash. Now, not a lot has changed for this leader overall. However, with the new starter decks, we did get a new addition that actually makes this leader very interesting once you get to the late game stages. But before we go over that new change, please make sure to drop a like and a sub. It helps out the channel immensely. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, please join the Discord. The link is in the description below. If you're already familiar with Moria, most of these cards are going to look very familiar to you. If you're unfamiliar, I will go through what these cards do rather quickly, so it'll be a nice little refresher for you if you're unfamiliar or haven't seen this leader in quite a while. So we're running 2 Kuzan. This is a 4-cost, 5,000 power body, on play draw a card, and when attacking, give one of your opponent's characters -4 cost to the turn. Very great value play if you're going second. Typically, you're going to want to go second anyway with this deck simply because most of your curve is even. So we're running 2 Kuzans instead of like a 4, which I think you might have ran 4 in the past. We're running 2 Suru. This is a 2k counter that says reduce the cost of a character by -2 on play. We're running 4 Borsalino, which is a blocker that is a 4-cost blocker that says on the opponent's turn, this character gains 1,000 power and cannot be KO'd by effects. So very strong overall. This is our blocker of choice. You could be running Rebecca. You could be running Borsalino. Here I'm deciding to run Borsalino because, well, our board does get very full. Rebecca's a great value play, and sure, Borsalino isn't as valuable as Rebecca, but once you get to the late game with this leader and with the new addition with Hina from the starter deck, your board is going to be rather full, and it's going to be kind of awkward if you do have like a Rebecca on the field. You're probably going to have to overplay it. But as you can see so far, we have quite a lot of Navy package in this deck, which I think that's what Moria started to trend to as of late. We're running 2 Isho here, an 8-cost 9,000 power body, Dawn times 1. Your turn, all of your opponent's characters get -3 to their cost, and then on play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. So one of the things that Moria does really well is kind of eating at the opponent's hand, whether it's through the Perona 2k counter, which we'll get to in a bit, or this Isho, or just all of the small attacks, the little pecks that you are constantly hitting your opponent with. Your opponent will be low in hand size. Typically, though, 6 is a good number for them to usually be at around the 8 Dawn turn. And so if you can fish a card out of their hand before, they get to 6, like if they're at 7, you swing, get them down to 6, and then play this Isho down, it's pretty powerful. And it's a Navy card, so it is searchable off of the brand new, which is a 2-drop, 3,000 power body, 1k counter. On play, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Navy type card other than brand new, and add it to your hand, then trash the remaining cards. Half of the deck is Navy, half the deck is Thriller Bark Pirates, and you want mostly everything in the trash anyway, so like your Thriller Bark Pirates, you're happy seeing go to the trash because you can just get them back with your leader ability. So brand new kind of services a couple of things here. It will replace itself most of the time with another card. If it doesn't, well, then all the things go to the trash and you're okay with that. If it does get a Navy card, the other 2 cards go to the trash, and hopefully they're Thriller Bark Pirates. Then we're running 4 Sabo, the best blocker. I will say this so many times, you're probably sick of hearing this from me, but it is the best blocker in black. It is on play, draw 2, trash 2, and then all of your cards cannot be KO'd by effects for an entire turn cycle, which is very, very powerful in a meta that is much dictated by black and control decks. Then we're running 4 Absalom. This is a Thriller Bark Pirates. On play, return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. KO up to 1 character with the cost of 2 or less. Now, this deck has kind of gone from a control-esque deck to less of that and more of a tempo-based deck. And so Absalom is your only real KO effect in this deck overall, which it's recurable because you can get it out of the trash. We could be running Lucci. I decide not to here. I don't think Lucci is necessary in this deck as much. You might want to look to run like the 6-drop Sakazuki as another option as well, but I think Absalom is just fine as your only KO option overall. Then the big boss monster of the deck, 4 Gecko Moria. This is the only deck that you can actually get it back out of the trash if you do mill it, and that is very powerful overall, being able to get this back and not feel like you don't have anything to play on 8. This is if you've been living under a rock, it's play 1 cost 4 or less and 1 cost 2 or less from your trash. Play one of them standing and one of them rested, so it's in contention for a character that I think a lot of people want banned. I don't know if it needs to be banned, but I definitely know that this card is overtuned, at least for the time being, until other things come into the meta. Yeah, for Gecko Moria, I think if you're running black, it's pretty much a given at this point. Then we're running 4 Dr. Hogback, and on play, return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Put up to 1 Thriller Bark card other than Dr. Hogback from your trash to your hand. So this is the reason why you're able to get that 8-cost Gecko Moria back, because it can grab it from the trash if you do see it. So this is the piece that's very important for you. This piece you do want to play out before your 8 Dawn turn so that you are able to get the Gecko Moria back into hand if it is in the trash. So this is very powerful. Otherwise, late game, if you don't need to play Moria, you can just grab your 2Ks, which we'll go over here. Victory Sindri. This is basically like a searcher for Thriller Barks in a weird way. On play, if your leader is a Thriller Bark Pirates type, you trash 5 cards from the top of your deck, and so this will fill up your trash. Then you can use your leader ability to get cards out of it. So feel free to throw this down very early on. I know it feels weird throwing a 2K, then you're trashing things, but it just feeds into the game plan of what Gecko Moria is wanting to do. And then we are running 4 Perona. This is a 2K counter that says, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, choose one of the following. Your opponent discards 1 card from hand, or give up to one of your opponent's characters cost -3 for the turn. Oftentimes, you're going to be using that first one. Discarding a card from the hand is very powerful. It definitely keeps them in check. All your opponents will have to be around like the 5 to 6 card range. And like I said, once they get to that 6 card range on 8, then you can play the Isho down. So you've been eating their hand the entire turn, or entire game rather, with this Perona, and then you can play the Isho. If you want, you can play the 2-cost event. I think it's Negative Hollow as well in this deck. I didn't really find space for it because, well, I wanted to fill it up with other things instead, and so Negative Hollow is another option that just eats a card from hand for only 2, and you can actually get that back with Hogback as well, which is kind of a cool thing. Then another Navy card, we are running a 2K counter with Tashigi. Rest this character, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for their turn. So basically like a Suru, except it's repeatable. The only thing you have to really do is just tap this over and over again, so people will probably attack into it, which is fine. It's like a pseudo blocker at that point, and it's done its job if it's already done the -2 cost. Then Hina at 4 in this deck. It's a 3-cost, 5,000 power body. On play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 cost during this turn. So the most powerful turn you can actually have is by, on your 6th Dawn turn, play a Hina down, -4 to an opponent's character, and then use your leader ability to bring an Absalom out of trash and then KO that character. Otherwise, you can use this Hina in conjunction with like an Isho on the field, or a Suru, or the Tashigi we talked about. We also have 2 Ice Ages, which is -5 cost to an opponent's character. The trigger is KO a 3 cost or less, which that sometimes comes up, but I'm running 2 Ice Ages here. You could probably look to run 3 maybe in this deck as well, but you're usually trying to get like bigger bodies with the Ice Age at that point, and so you don't really have too much time to be getting rid of every big body per turn. You want to be getting as much value on the board and as many characters on the board as possible, and just like chipping away at your opponent's hand by swinging into them, but the Ice Age does come in handy when you need to get rid of a big body on the opponent's side of the field. And then the new addition, which I think actually makes this leader very interesting and possibly almost top tier in my opinion, is the new Hina from Starter Deck 19. This is a Dawn ×1 opponent's turn. This character gains +4 cost. That's kind of insignificant to me. Doesn't really matter as much that the cost is +4. What's more important here is the activate main once per turn. You may place 1 card from your trash on the bottom of your deck. Give your leader or up to one of your characters up to 1 rested Dawn. Now, why does this matter? Well, on your 10 Dawn turn, if you play 8-cost Gecko Moria, you can bring back this Hina, and then obviously whatever else you want, whether it be a brand new or a Sindri or Suru or whatever it may be there. Put a Dawn under your leader, then you can actually use your leader ability on the 10 Dawn turn after you played a Moria, which you haven't been able to do before. If you play a Moria, you only have 2 Dawn left, and your leader ability takes 3 to use. So this Hina will allow you to be able to use your leader ability while also playing a Gecko Moria on 10. So that's huge, because now you can play Moria, you can get a Hina back if you so choose, or whatever else. If Hina's already on the board, you can play something else, and then use your leader ability and get another body, that whether it be a Hogback or an Absalom or whatever you want at that point. And you're getting a lot of value, you're getting a lot of tempo with that turn, and the following turn, your opponent's going to have to defend at least like 4 attacks, which is going to be very hard for them to do. So yes, this Hina, I feel like, is much needed in this deck, and it's kind of like the sleeper card that I don't feel like a lot of people are thinking about to run in Gecko Moria, and obviously Gecko Moria is kind of like the last black deck people are wanting to run right now, because obviously Lucci's really good, you have Smokers kind of like rising up as well, but Moria kind of has a good argument to being played again because it does spam the board with bodies that can contest things like Doffy. Also on top of that, it does have the ability to handle the board if things get a little bit out of control. But overall, I think Moria is actually in a pretty good spot. It's probably just one of those things where people just don't really care to play it right now. But because it's Halloween and we're in the spirit of Halloween, we're going to bring Moria back from the dead and hopefully do well in some games in the sim. But overall, let's take it into the sim and see how it does. All right, we're going to go against Zoro and Sanji, blue-green Zoro and Sanji. I think this leader is actually pretty strong overall. I've always kind of pushed for it to be a leader that people should play. It does run a Warlord package, or at least it should in my opinion, and I think a lot of people probably run it. We'll see if this leader is running that package. Some of them run kind of like a 2-drop weenie spam where they're able to just put out a bunch of like smaller bodies. Like I think it's like a Sanji, or maybe no, it's a Sanji that like pumps itself up if you have like a certain amount of cards in hand. I think that build is fine, but I think that the Warlord package is a little bit better here. Let's try to counter out here and just stay healthy as possible, because what we want to do is stay around 4 or 5, or try to like have a healthy life total by the time that our Moria comes out. So we chose second here because we do run an even curve. Going brand new, finding a Kuzan off of it, and then playing a Kuzan on 4 is perfect. I'm surprised that they let that Gion go, to be quite honest. When I'm swinging into a body and it only requires a 1k counter, and they let it go, it kind of signals to me that they might not have a lot of counter in hand, or maybe they just don't value the Gion as much. We'll see in a second, though. But this next turn, we do have the option to play Hina into an Absalom, so do the Hina-Absalom combo on 6 if they decide to play any Warlords this turn. They're at 5 Dawn, so I would imagine an optimal turn for them would be playing like a Jinbei Weevil if they're running that package. But they lead off with a Kaya. I'm assuming maybe they just need to fix their hand a little bit because they're dumping a Shanks, the new 9-cost Shanks, which is a KO anything that's rested. Really strong card for green. I think Bonnie will start running that as some of their top end, which is really great for Bonnie. Really scary for those that don't want to go against Bonnie because Shanks is mostly meant to be used in the Uta deck, but obviously not a lot of people are playing Uta. They're playing Bonnie as the primo green leader overall. So we have a 6 coming in from Mihawk and a 7 coming in from the leader. No leader ability used here. That's fine. And I actually don't think we need to do the 3-cost Hina into Absalom combo because, well, we can just swing into the Mihawk, clear it, and then establish a Hina. We can use this Hina, the new Hina, by the way, to put an Ice Age on the bottom, put a Rested Dawn on my leader. I can use the leader ability and to get a Hogback out onto the field, which then puts the 8-cost Gecko Moria back into my hand from the trash. Overall, very strong play. And we'll swing 6 into the Mihawk. And I think it's fine, actually, to swing the Kuzan here because there's nothing really else to do, and we kind of want them to swing into the Kuzan. If we have them swing into the Kuzan, we can bring it back the next turn with Moria. We also have the brand new, so we could do a really great value play with the Moria this next turn here. So yeah, let's just let it go. Unfortunate that they have the Gravity Blade to bottom deck the Hogback and Hina, but it's totally fine. We're going to swing 5 and just see if they take it. If they take it, we're incentivized to play this Isho. If they counter, which they just did, then we can play the Moria and do a nice little value play here. Get a brand new, do your brand new searches first, and then the Kuzan to draw a card. And then from here, we're looking pretty good. They are at 3 life. They have basically nothing on the board. The Kaya is insignificant overall. Sorry, Kaya. They will be swinging likely, I would imagine, 6, maybe playing a Hody Jones, or they could just fill up the board, like spam the board with a bunch of Warlords, and that actually might be their best play, but they are significantly behind because my board state is just so much better than theirs. And this next turn, we have so many different options we can play as far as just like putting bodies out onto the field. I'm actually not sure what I would like to play overall, so it's entirely dependent on what the opponent does here. So obviously this is a very important turn for the Zoro and Sanji, and so they'll take some time to think about it. Swinging 10, though, is a telltale sign that they don't have a lot. They just don't have a lot here. I'm very perplexed as why they're swinging 10, but I mean, I could counter out by dumping my entire hand, but that doesn't really make sense to do so. We'll just take the hit. I'm worried. Actually, I'm going to counter out here, and the reason I'm going to counter out here is because this kind of tells me that they might be doing like a a pudding play, and I counter out a little bit too much. I just get the Thriller Bark cards out of my hand so that I can bring them back, and I'm trying to de-incentivize them from playing a pudding. I know that seems weird because I took a hit, but yeah, there's the pudding. I figured that was coming, and it was a good thing that we dumped our Thriller Bark Pirates out of our hand. So now we have a Hina back in it, and we can bring this Absalom out and KO the pudding. Not that the pudding's a real threat, but yeah, we will do that and go ahead and get that out of the way. We will then play down this Hina because it's counterless and just get it out of our hand. And then play a... I feel like I should just swing the Kuzan, but maybe we need it for the next turn. So we'll keep the Kuzan standing and see what they have presented to us. Swinging 6, I'll just easy counter out, and we'll see what they have. Zoro is a Hail Mary from them because we have so many attacks coming at them this turn, and they have 4 cards. Actually, 6 cards in total, considering their life here. We're just going to swing off with the Moria, see if they take it, and then obviously they're going to take that because it's a big hit coming their way. You could probably sequence this a little differently, maybe swing a bunch of 7s instead. Yeah, that was my mistake. Always punished. I'm always punished for these stupid mistakes that I make. But let's swing 7, see what we get here. Probably do a hog back and get a 2K back into the hand, which that's totally fine here. It's a good value play overall, just in case we know we can't close out the game here, but I'm pretty sure we should be able to close out with these few attacks. Yeah, this is just a math win at this point, unless they have another Gravity Blade in the trash, which even then, it's still a math win. Yeah, so then we just swing 5. Well, if there's a Gravity Blade here, okay, there's not one, then we just swing all out. We'll go 11 and then close the game out here. Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't really see anything, but this is at least, you know, a decent start for us to kind of get this Hina, how it feels just out and about and see how that goes. But yeah, overall, decent win for us. I think there's probably some better options to go into. All right, exactly what I wanted to see. We're going to go against a Doflamingo. This is what everybody is expected to play against, and I think this hand is actually pretty solid. Even though we don't have a lot of counter to start off with, we have plays on curve every turn, and we were able to fill up our trash with a couple of Thriller Bark cards, which is really nice, but we won't be using them quite yet. So the brand new got a Borsalino. I think the Borsalino is just better as a counter right now, and we'll just play out the Kuzans and present some Kuzans here. Something to keep in mind, though, they do have a bounce law, the 4-cost law that if it returns a character back to their hand, they can bounce a 4-cost back to my hand. So Kuzan is a little bit scary to throw down here because it could just be a valueless play overall. They decide to swing 7, and off the top, very, very nice. They're able to get the Boa Hancock, which adds a Dawn that's rested to them, so they can swing for 8 overall. We're going to swing 5 at face, see what they do. If I'm Doffy, I just take this, but they just counter out, and I play a Kuzan. I guess I just take life way too much. As a Doffy player, I'm usually like taking life instead and just like fill up my hand so I can protect my board if you decide to swing into it. So that's good for me. So they're just gonna go really hard here. I guess they don't have any setup plays, which that's fine. They know what's coming anyway, so they have the Moria coming down and get the 3-cost Doffy. I'd even swing with the Hancock at that point if I were them, but that's totally fine that they didn't. In order to get this Hancock off the field, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the Ice Age. They don't have a lot of stuff on their side of the field that's going to be like needing an Ice Age anyway, so let's just go ahead and use it, get the Absalom out, swing 6, pop the Boa Hancock, swing 6 into this Moria. If they decide to defend it, then we can swing 7 into the Moria as well. If they decide to let it go, then we can play a brand new. We have to keep our options open, and I think that's the what you should be doing as a player, is just trying to keep your options as open as possible so that if your opponent does something, you can react to it accordingly. So if they decide to counter out a 2K, which is a very simple thing for them to do considering they have 7 cards in hand, then, you know, they decide to let it go. We'll swing 5 at face, totally great with us, and then we'll play the brand new down and see if we can get anything off of it. And I think it's fine to go ahead and grab the Suru just for some extra protection because I think we're going to probably need it. Our hand is looking very much pudding in a bowl, and I should start putting a catchphrase or a TM around that because I feel like I've said that for the past 3 or 4 videos. But it is true. This hand, we're sitting at what, 4, 8, yeah, 8 cards in hand. I mean, I'm scared right now. I should just try to start countering out as much as possible. They decided to hit face, which is really scary, of course. So we're going to go ahead and counter out and get the Thriller Bark cards out of hand because those are cards we can just get back. Now, they have, on their side of the field, they have 10 cards in hand, which This Isho is not really going to dent it very much, to be quite honest, but I think it's still worth trying to get some of these cards out of hand the next turn. So for me, I'm probably just going to swing 5, 5, 5. Yeah. They go Jinbei into, I imagine, a Law. That's probably the reason why they didn't, you know, bounce, or they didn't swing into the Kuzan, is because they can just bounce it back. So, okay, cool. They bounce the Kuzan back to hand. I mean, it's not cool, but, you know, it is what it is. We have to deal with it. So what options do we have here? We could go board clear. We could just start swinging face. I think it's better to just get the Isho on the field, because if once we get an Isho on the field, it makes it really hard for them to really establish anything, because we can start KOing their stuff with their Absaloms. Obviously, getting a big body on the field is really nice as well. And nowadays, Doffy doesn't really run Red Rock. They might run one copy of it. They might run Bounce Kaido. But I think we're in a good spot to just go ahead and play the Isho down. This is a spot where I feel like for them, they have so many cards in hand, they should probably just start countering out anyway, which, yeah, that's fine to do. They're at 4 life, which they're so healthy right now. It's insane. This deck has just so much value. Basically, what I'm trying to do is just get them to give me some counter cards so that this Isho might hit some better targets. Unfortunately, it hits a 2K Buggy and a 1K Gecko Moria. Not the best targets overall, but hey, it is, you know, their hand has been reduced from 10 to now 6. So that's pretty good progress for us overall. And if they decide to go after this Absalom, then I think that we are going to just let it go, because this next turn, if they let the Absalom, or if they go into the Absalom, it goes to the trash. We can bring it out with our leader ability, and we can also play the second Absalom, and we can start KOing everything on the board. And now, after this turn, they probably won't have too much of a board to go into anyway. Now, this 3-cost Doffy blocker, I don't see it too often. I do like it, maybe at like 2 of, but I think they've already countered out with 2 of them. So this deck list is running probably 3 to 4. I don't think it's really necessary, considering the new Boa is, you know, essentially the same thing but better. Obviously, this has a counter on it, but yeah, the 3-cost Doffy blocker, I would probably not run it as much as they're running it. So they're just swinging face. This might be another Law coming out, and I think if it is another Law coming out, well, we'll just go ahead and get this Absalom in the trash, prevent a pudding from hitting us. So they'll swing 5, they'll swing 6. Let's just counter out of everything, because, you know, let's stay healthy. I think it's better to just do that. Indeed, it is an Absalom. Bouncing back to our hand with their Law. That's fine. Because now what we can do is we can go and play this Absalom out from hand, and we have one in trash. So I think we played around it pretty well. Let's go ahead and just use this Hina, I think. I think it's fine to use the Hina. Let me just do some quick math here and make sure I can play the Hina down. I can also play out an Absalom. I don't know if I can do both. We're going to just swing the... we're just going to... Oh, wow. They just let it go. I figured they might block that. But I guess they did, and that's fine for us. Let's go ahead and play the Kuzan down. And I will swing 5. I might have messed up a little bit here, but I don't think I really have to worry too much about the Doflamingo blocker, right? I don't think that's necessary to get off the field. They might just use it as a blocker anyway. I don't think they're going to use it as an attacker. So let's go ahead and play the Absalom to get rid of this Law here. They do have, I think, a Law back in hand, so they could bounce probably the Kuzan back to hand, which if they do, it's whatever. It's not really the biggest thing in the world for us to worry about. I think the Isho, now that it's established, is pretty good. We could also play another Isho as well and rip another 2 cards from hand, but I don't really feel like that's good. I think we need to keep up with their tempo, because now they have another Jinbei into Weevil, and they're probably going to use leader ability and then maybe swing 6 with the Doflamingo blocker. I'm not quite sure what their plan is here, but let's take a look overall. But yeah, we need to keep up with their tempo now that we have a couple of bodies established that they really can't answer the 8-drop. So, you know, if they answer the other things, it's fine. We can just bring them back. So, okay, they swing with it. I don't think they should be doing this. I think they should be using their blocker as an attacker to face, or just a blocker in general. Getting rid of a brand new is not really going to do much here, because I have a second one, so I can just swing with the second one. They go 7 at face, and I think they're just going to play another Law. That's the reason why they're just going to bring it back to hand. I guess that's okay. That's an okay play. Typically, I would just be bouncing the Law back to hand at that point. But also, if they are running Teach variant, the Teach variant can, you know, keep it going. With the Teach variant, you can actually go like Law bounce, bounce it back to hand, play the Law again with the Teach ability, then bounce it back to hand and play it again. It's insane. You can get like 3 bounces in a single turn. So let's go ahead and use our leader ability thanks to the Hina here. We're going to trash a card from their hand with the Perona. So now they're going to be down to 4, and 6 is coming at them. And we might want to establish... I feel like we might want to establish a Borsalino this next turn. We could swing with the Absalom at 5. I don't know, maybe I should have tried to clear the board a little bit. What did they just drop? Okay, cool. Well, we'll go 9 at face. That's definitely going to be a hit there. And we'll throw it out the Borsalino. We have a fair amount of 2Ks in hand. We have two 2Ks and a 1K, and we saw that they have a perfume in the trash. How did that end up there? I'm not sure. Was that a bug? I don't know. Okay, so they play a Hancock down. That's totally fine. We should be able to KO that pretty easily with a Absalom from our hand going into the trash using our leader ability. This turn, they'll probably just try to go face, I would imagine. Just get us down to 0. Probably the best thing for them to do. Was the femur, was that part of like a trigger? It wasn't, was it? I may have missed something there. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I think we're still in a good standing here. Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to go face, trying to get us to 0 here. They will, we'll counter out of that one because we can. Once again, do not go to 0 against Doffy if you can help it. Taking this hit might be a little scary, but we do have a blocker. They have 2 more attacks, so technically we're probably in a pretty good standing to be okay here, to not, you know, have an issue. We will counter out of that one, keep the blocker alive. And then this one's just a simple 1K. Totally fine here. I might just want to drop the Absalom. Yeah, Absalom's fine to drop out there. And then we'll see what they have for this final 4. The Crocodile. To draw 2, put 1 back. Okay, that's fine. Their board is massive. So this is kind of like the final turn overall. I think for us, what we need to do is put 1 down under Isho to begin with. This is a little tricky here because what we need to be able to do is we want this attack to connect without them using their blocker. Them countering out is perfect because now, well, I probably should do something a little bit different with my sequencing here. I should probably use my Gecko Moria ability first to get the blocker out of the way, but they do take that 1 hit. So we're going to go ahead and just use the ability, pitching the Isho because it's the dead card in hand. We're not going to play it anymore. Play the Absalom out. Use the Absalom ability to KO their blocker, and now we have the ability of Hina to put Arrested Dawn under the Isho, and we're just going to put all the rest on and swing 13 for a guaranteed lethal against them. That's the reason. I think it was a trigger that they used. They had another femur in hand, and that's why they were trying to pressure us down to 0, because if we went to 0, then they would just go straight to face. So yeah, overall, I think we kept up with their momentum. I think I did a couple of misplays here where I probably could have played it better, but overall, not too bad. All right, we're going to go against Purple Luffy, and they get to decide if they go first or second. They choose first, which is, I think, the right choice for them because they have a really good curve going first. They can use their leader ability, play a 4-cost Zoro Juro, and then use their leader ability again the following turn and play Luffy Taro. So they have a very powerful start with the Straw Hat package. We are able to get a brand new, which is perfect for us. Getting the Kuzan, which we love to see there. I think it's fine to just go ahead and throw out the Perona. We always have to respect the first swing from Purple Luffy because it could be a law coming down to rip 2 cards from hand, so it's just better to be safe than sorry. I've learned my lesson from that over time, to just pitch out the Perona because we can get it back onto the field, which is totally fine. This next turn, though, our play will be just to go Gecko Moria 5 to face, and then play down a Kuzan to get the draw. I don't think that Purple Luffy's really running... They shouldn't be running Polys. At least that I don't think they should. Maybe some of them are to kind of combat with the Doffy matchup because that matchup's pretty rough. So maybe having stuff that can KO is good for them. But we'll take the risk here. We'll just throw down the Kuzan and see if they have an answer to it. They probably, well, they might. They have a Scratchman of Poo, which is not really common in the Straw Hat build as much. So we'll see. They use their leader ability, go to 7. This is probably a Luffy Taro. 6 to face. I think we just counter out of this one. Just stay at 5 as long as we possibly can. If it only takes 1 card. Ooh, that's an interesting card indeed. So the 7-cost Captain Kidd on play, and when attacking, Dawn -1. Your leader gains 1,000 power until the start of the next turn. That's pretty good overall. I don't know if we can actually... We can answer this, right? Do we have an Absalom in the trash? I believe we might. I'm not sure. Well, regardless, I don't think we do. We're going to go ahead and just use our leader ability here. We'll pitch out this Hina because I don't think we really need it. And we'll go ahead and play the Perona out to just trash a card from hand. just burn some of their resources overall. This could be, they might let it go. I imagine they'll probably protect it though. For one card, it's not that bad. But first they have to decide on what card they want to get rid of. So they get rid of a kid, and then they have to get rid of another card to protect the Zoro Juro if they decide to do so. That's fine. So then I think we just swing 8 here, and unfortunately it means that our Kuzan will likely just go away the next turn based off of, you know, they'll probably swing into it. But at least the Zoro Juro is off the board, and that's one less thing to worry about. In the following turn, well, hopefully we can get an Absalom in the next couple of turns here, and we can probably answer anything that they have. So ideally answering this 7-cost kid would be great with the Ice Age, but we'll see what we get. Of course, nothing is really guaranteed at this point. So their leader is at 6 now, and they have 4 Open Dawn to play with. They could play out a blocker for 4, or they could just put all 4 on and swing a giant 10 to face. So we'll just take that one because obviously I'm not going to counter out of that. And this is a little bit awkward because we don't have an 8-drop. We don't have really anything good to play this turn. And because our hand is full of, you know, counter cards, let's get rid of the cards out of our hand that don't have counter on them, so they're not just kind of like a dead card. So let's put 1 Kuzan back so we have a backup one, and we can swing 6 into lead, use our leader ability. Let's pitch out the Perona, and let's eat another card from hand, right? Because we weren't able to get a Moria milled off of our leader ability, so there's no point in bringing a Hog back out. Let's go ahead and eat a card from hand because they're at 5, so they drop another blocker. Pretty good for us. And then we'll just swing 7 with the Perona. We want them to attack into the Perona because, well, if they go back up to 5, then we can just eat their hand once more. And this is an easy 2K, or they might just take it. I actually think they should take it, which they did, because they're at 3 cards. If they counter out again, going into 2 cards, drawing into a 3rd is not really good. Purple Luffy likes to have a pretty big hand size, and really good for us that we're actually eating that hand size right now. And they play a Sangoro, which will, on attack, draw a card if you have 8 Dawn or more. That's perfect there. I feel like that's fine to swing into the Perona character at this point because you're at 4 cards. It's fine to do it. You're not going to get the Perona ability thrown at you unless I swing with my bodies first, and that's kind of like a telegraphed move. So I think they probably should try to clear the board maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe this is right to just swing. Okay, they are swinging at the board, which they probably just should have swung first at the board because now they gave me a card that it could counter out with. But I want it in the trash anyway, because I can probably just bring it back out and be fine. So, okay, so they have all the blockers in the world. They actually saw all 4 kid blockers. I think they tossed 2 of them, because they have 2 more. We're going to try to get through this, but it's going to be difficult. So let's go ahead and just consider what our plays are. We could play a Borsalino. That's totally fine here. Just something to be able to use this Hina ability. So let's put something back. A Sabo, because it's really hard to get that back anyway, so not really a point there. Let's use our leader ability here. And we should pitch... Borsalino might be fine. Hina might be fine. Hina's probably better because we do have an Ice Age as backup. And then we'll go ahead and play out the Hog back and just do a value Hog back to get the Perona back to hand. Because playing a Perona doesn't really do anything this turn. So getting it back into hand is fine for us. Swinging 6 to 6, 1 card investment. That's totally fine here. We might want to play another Borsalino. Or we could also just be a little bit cheeky and swing 7 with the brand new. Or we could just play 6 and 6. There's also something as well we could possibly do. I don't know why I didn't think of that until just now. So yeah, we're just swinging 6s, just requiring 1 card per hand, per swing, which is very, very annoying for Purple Luffy to have to deal with. But I think they are okay going down to 0 possibly, especially if they have a Kaido this turn to be able to just swing everything they have on the board at me. That one they might have should have held on to. The Usohachi being able to rest my Borsalino would have been nice, but they might have a backup plan here. Or maybe they have another Usohachi. They might have a Kaido. We'll just kind of see what they do. If they swing face, then I feel like they probably have Kaido. Oh, they swing board. That to me signifies that they probably don't have Kaido. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But a Kaido here would be really good. And I say that it would be really good because then you have the 2 kids on the board. You get 2 Dawn back. Obviously, maybe 1 Dawn back now because of the 7-cost kid ability. I think we should just keep these units alive the best we can. I think it's pretty important here. Because the more units we have, the more we can pressure them down. And we kind of want to have them swing with their kid blocker so that we can, yes, please swing with the kid blocker. Please, please, please. Yes, it looks like they're doing it. If they swing with this, that means we can get rid of the other one with an Ice Age. Absalom? Do we have Absalom? I can't remember if we have Absalom in the trash, but why can't I ever remember if it's there? So go ahead, just dump our cards, get cards out of hand here. Because, well, that's what we want to do. I think it's fine letting this Hina go. I actually do. I think that we have enough attackers on the board to be able to get rid of this Captain Kid blocker and then, you know, put more Dawn on other characters as well. But they have 7 Dawn remaining, so I'm kind of like lost as to what they could be doing here. 7 might be nothing. Okay. All right, sure, it's nothing. They have nothing to play. I mean, it happens. I think they meant to play the Luffy Tar into Sangoro, but I think if they did that, it also is telegraphed as to they have nothing to counter with at that point. They'd have 1 card left in their hand. So I think that's why they left everything in hand, to kind of leave it mysterious. But yeah, we just overwhelmed them with a bunch of small attacks. And I think that's what Purple Luffy doesn't want to see. So, all right, so we're going against Nami here. We are going to go second to take away... Well, for 2 reasons. We're taking away their draw, and then we're also playing to our curve, so we have a brand new into... I feel like maybe Hina would be better than a 2K. We don't need to play as defensively against Nami. I don't think they're really running, you know, Zephs or the Rush Usops. I could be wrong, but most of them don't, so we don't really need all the 2Ks in the world. We need more proactive plays, and so a blocker could be okay, but I think just playing out Hina is a solid play as well, because swinging 6 and 9 is the best way to go about beating Nami, I think, nowadays. And so Borsalino would require a Dawn investment for that to be the thing, so I think it's just better to play out the Hina. Counterless cards, get them out of my hand as soon as you possibly can. So they play out 2 Marguerites. This is going to be quite annoying because we don't have really a way to KO them. We could just play out this Borsalino, use our leader ability to bottom deck the Tashigi, put 1 Dawn under our leader, and then use our leader ability here to, I guess, pitch out a Sindri and get the Hogback going. And we could use our Hogback to get something, but I just think I want to get the body out on the field instead. The reason I don't play out or get anything from the Hogback is because we have a Moria. And a Moria without bringing anything out is kind of just a really bad Moria play. So at least being able to get a Hina and maybe a brand new search off would be great. So let's go ahead and just, you know, not use our Hogback ability. Nami uses Sanji's Peel Off, draws 2, and their hand is looking pretty fat here. Another Kaya, or just not another, just a Kaya in general. They're running, looks like Deathwink, so you should be aware that that's a card that could be in life. I think it bounces a 7 cost back to hand, but either way, it's kind of the same thing as any other trigger that bounces in their deck. So double Kaya, kind of rough to see here, especially when they're at 2 Dawn left. They could be a Snake Dance. They pitched a Snake Dance, which makes me think that they have a Snake Dance to bounce a Kaya back to hand. Could be the case. Might be the case. We don't know just yet. They get rid of an Opus, which is not really a telltale sign of anything that they have in their hand. So we're just trying to fish for counter here and hope for the best. Because if we swing our 5s and then they use if they use like a white snake, we still have the Hina to swing. They did have a Snake Dance. I thought it might be the case, but I can't KO it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and use Hina, play over the Hogback because we can get the Hogback back. And then play out brand new, get a Kuzan. Not that it really matters, to be quite honest. And then put a Hina back using the 4-cost Hina ability, put it on under our leader and swing 6 into them and pressure them, either forcing them to give us a Kaya, which they did, which is lovely to see, but also could be terrifying. It might mean they have more Kayas overall. Basically, swinging that 6, I just wanted to get that 2K out of hand, whether it be an Opus or, I don't know, anything there. Yeah, you can have this, totally fine. I don't need the brand new overall. I don't think I'll be swinging with it, so it's okay if they swing into it and get rid of it. This next turn, we could just start swinging a little bit higher. We could also establish a second Moria, but what is our Moria play if we do that? I don't think it's very good. So let's just go ahead and... Well, actually, it's not bad. We could get a Hogback. This is a little risky here, swinging just a flat 5. If they have the White Snake, then we get punished. But they didn't play it immediately, which makes me think that they don't have it, which could be the case. So let's swing 5, 5, 6 with the Hina. And then what we could end up doing is play out a Moria. Play out a Moria, and then Moria brings out a Hogback, brings out a brand new. Yeah, I think Hogback brand new just to get the search off, and then we can use our leader ability with this Hina. See, we're at 10 Dawn, so now we have the opportunity to do that. We can put a couple cards back. I guess it would be fine to maybe get this other Moria back. It doesn't, I mean, 3 Morias against, I think, Nami is a little excessive. We don't really have time to keep playing all these Morias, but I'm going to grab it anyway just as a backup. We'll swing 6 into lead and use our leader ability. Wow, look at that. We're on 10 Dawn. We played a Moria, and we can use our leader ability. Wow. What is this witchcraft? It's insane that this new Hina can actually allow you to do that, which is the whole point of this video, is to show this off. So finally, we're able to show it off, which is very nice. So swing 6, they counter out. We swing 9. They're likely going to have to take it because I don't think that they have 2 cards that they want to spare to drop at that point in time. And I think we're looking pretty good. We have a full board here. They just pass, open Dawn, which, who knows? Let's just swing for the fences, swing right numbers if we can. So I think from here on out, if we can swing where it's kind of awkward for them, they swing, because they use their white snake, so they are +1 for the rest of the turn. So we swing 6. Swing 9. They went +1, then +4. Then we swing 10 because that requires 2 more cards from hand. A 7 into 6 is really awkward for them, so I think 7s are pretty good here. It's the same thing as swinging like 6 into 5. Just very awkward for the Nami to have to deal with. And then they have 1 Dawn left, 1 card in hand. And this kind of is just like, okay, we can swing 8-8. We could swing 7-9. We could also just swing 6-10. 6-10 will likely connect both times, which is really good. They get the White Snake trigger, which that is just looking at the top 5 cards of the deck. Thankfully, it's not too detrimental to their game plan. They can obviously like rearrange things and draw into what they need for this next turn, but they have 16 cards left in deck, 1 card in hand, and then at this point, they're going to have not that many, cards left in their life. They're gonna have 1 card left in life. So yeah, I don't know. I maybe could have made an argument just to swing 10 here, but I guess getting a standing body is just as good. Getting a 2K out of it as well. I'm not sure if that was the right play, but it still worked out, I guess, technically the same. In this next turn, I think it's fine to lead off with our Moria swings just to get them down to 0. I think typically when I'm playing Nami, and maybe I'm playing it incorrectly here, but I like to swing like high to low first so that they're more incentivized to use their counter events to get everything out of the way first, and then you can kind of math it out once they've already used all of their stuff, like use their Dawn tapped out. But I think this next turn I might lead with the Morias. I feel like that might be the right play here. Logetown. This is basically put it at the bottom of the deck, draw 2. Yeah, they didn't have anything. I think they figured that, the cards that they drew there, Opposite Impel Down All-Stars, is not going to help them at all. They were running Pudding too. That's insane. If they got that Pudding this turn, I would have been in a slight bit of trouble. But yeah, overall, just swarm the board and you should be fine against Nami. Well, Moria is the good old reliable black leader overall. I think that this leader, I don't see why people are not playing it. I mean, I guess I see why. Lucci is just so strong right now, but this is a pretty solid leader as well, especially with the new addition from Starter Deck 19. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the Hina actually is pretty good overall. It might not be something that people are considering, so please think about that if you are wanting to play Moria, or at least test it out and see how it goes. Obviously, the deck list can be changed a little bit with the ratios or the type of cards in them, but for the most part, I think the consistency of the deck is more important. So we are running a lot of Navy cards. We're running a lot of Thriller Bark Pirate cards. You could be looking to run Rebecca. You could be looking to run maybe for another Navy card, the 6-cost Sakazuki, but overall, yeah, I feel like this is pretty solid. The Hina in the matches that I did play it, I felt like really did some great work overall. Being able to use our leader ability on turns that we might not have been able to use it normally is pretty big. And Moria, sure, Moria likes to play with the trash, but doesn't necessarily need the trash to the same extent as Lucci does. Like, Lucci really needs like a full trash overall to be able to do Lucci things, whereas Moria doesn't necessarily need a huge trash, and so being able to bottom deck a card that you don't necessarily even need, like if a Sabo's in the trash, you're not getting that Sabo back, so you can just put it at the bottom of the deck using the Hina ability, and then use your leader ability with the Hina with the 1 Rested Dawn. So I really like this. I think Hina adds a lot to the deck overall, and hopefully you guys take it into consideration for playing this deck, because I feel like it's pretty solid. I don't think it's that bad of a deck at all, and I'll let you know if I think a deck sucks. So I don't think that Moria is a awful deck. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a happy Halloween. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next video.